Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Pedal Shift Project. The Pedal Shift Project is a series of conversations, thoughts, and experiments on bicycle travel adventures. From tips and tricks to ideas on how to ride your ride. Let's shrink the world by bike. Show notes and more are available at pedalshift.net/401, and you can email the show at pedalshift@pedalshift.net or text me at 202-930-1109 and check Pedal Shift out on all the socials as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome back from spring break to the 401st edition of the Pedal Shift Project. My name's Tim Mooney. Remember me? Hi, I'm back. This edition, it is going to be fun. It's a fun one. It's the LA Metrobike Adventure. What happens when you've got one day in Los Angeles, a conference that demands your physical presence, and a red-eye flight back home? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You grab a Metrobike after the conference and explore, of course. On this edition, it's a whirlwind bike share adventure from the hilly streets of Westwood, Los Angeles to the iconic Venice Beach boardwalk, and a race for that flight home. Good morning from Westwood, California, Los Angeles. This is an unusual trip for me. A one-dayer adventure here in the Los Angeles area. And what is it going to be? I am here for a conference on artificial intelligence, of all things. And curiously, it required me to be in attendance rather than do it online. So I am basically flying to LA for a day, which I do not recommend necessarily. It is a place where you should probably hang out and do some more, especially on a beautiful weather day like today. I have never been to UCLA. I was attracted to UCLA as a possibility when I was an undergrad, but I decided that like so many things in my life at that age, I thought, I'm not a West Coast guy. That of course has gone by the wayside, despite having lived on the East Coast for a while. What a stunningly beautiful campus. It is my failing to have never been here before. Just absolutely beautiful and stunning. Westwood is also historically is considered quite beautiful as well, and of course its reputation is well deserved. A lot of cool stuff here in this area around UCLA. So what the heck am I doing? I'm here for a conference. I'm here pretty much all morning into the early afternoon. And then at that point, I am actually, I should say I'm more specifically, right next to the Metrobike bike share. And I have a red eye tonight going back. Again, not recommended. I only got in last night. But I have a red eye going back to DC. And I decided I don't have enough time to do what I really would have liked to do, which is go to Disneyland. That would have been fun. However, I have a crazier notion, and that is I am going to take the Metro Bike Share and ride down to the ocean and get on the Strand there and go through Venice and I think a couple of the beach towns, and eventually make my way to the closest Metro Bike Share dock that I can get to, LAX, and basically go to the airport from there. So that is my intention. It is not a ton of biking. It's only about, probably when all is said and done, about 15 miles worth of biking. But as many of these bike shares are, they have little rules to them. So I can get a day pass, which I intend to do, and I think it's $5, right? I can ride as much as I want in the day with an asterisk. No amount of riding can exceed 30 minutes. Otherwise, I get hit with, I think, a per minute charge, which of course would be fine if all it's costing me is $5 to start. It's not that big of a deal. However, I think it's a great constrainment for this particular adventure. So what I'm going to do is I am going to utilize the app to figure out places where it makes sense to dock the bike, to have little adventures along the way. Grab a bite to eat, maybe get a drink, enjoy the beach towns, things like that. I really hope to be able to look around here in the towns around Westwood and whatnot, because this is a new area of LA for me. So we're going to give this a shot. I've already learned something new about UCLA, and that is that they do leaf blowers at all hours, which you can probably hear in the background. Or maybe not. I don't know. I've got the good mics. I found the good mics, by the way. They were buried in a bag someplace. I have found that this is a hilly area. Something that I didn't really know was in this part of LA. But again, I've never been to this part of LA. There's certainly hills in and around LA, famously. I just haven't ridden on them. I've tended to ride on the very, 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 very straight and flat parts of it. So that's actually going to be interesting as I explore the area here. There are e-bikes in the system. There are currently none at this dock. In fact, there are only 2 bikes at this dock right now. So I'm hoping that there's at least one when I am done at 2 p.m. Pacific time here. So that's the whole thing. This is the excitement for my day. I am a little bundled up right now. It's in the 50s. It is supposed to get up to as high as 80 today. So I actually have shorts. I have sun sleeves. I have a hat. So I'm ready for just about anything. I think that what might end up happening is I may end up changing. I was thinking I was going to be changing here just with the temperatures, but I've got layers, I can handle everything. What I don't have, unfortunately, is sunscreen, which I think I will end up regretting. I am all in one small backpack, which I think I will feel really good about because I'm truly mobile and will be able to just come and go as I please. But fun little adventure today, a little bit different type of a thing, but exploring parts of Los Angeles that I have not seen yet, at least for the beginning part. And then, of course, it'll become very familiar once I get to the beach towns, which, of course, I've ridden a bunch of different times, but not by Metrobike. I think that's going to be the interesting way to approach things with my half-hour time constraints. So we'll see how this all goes. All right. Much more to come once I am done learning all about AI and the law. I know, interesting. I'm actually excited about this particular conference. Maybe I'll have something fun to say to you when I'm done with this, which should be in just a moment for you, many hours for me. And just like that, conference is over. Very interesting. Artificial intelligence. It's a thing. There's my take. All right, we are ready. I am at a now completely restocked bike station here at the UCLA campus. And my first step is to decide whether I'm going to do traditional or e-bike. I think I'm going to go traditional since I think I'm going to be going largely downhill. I think I'm just going to go to another station to get a little bit closer. It seems that if I want to ride to Santa Monica, it looks like that's a little over a half hour away. And like I said, if I go longer than 30 minutes, I get charged extra, so my goal here is to not get charged extra. Not that it matters, because it's like an extra $1, but it's all good. All right, off we go. All right, we have made it to the first stop. My takeaway, A, I don't know what I'm doing. B, Google Maps in a more urban setting with lots of crazy roads is a much harder way to figure out which way you're going. I might to B yet. We'll go C. I definitely have the turn-by-turn in my ears now. That makes it much better. D, bus drivers don't like it when you're looking at your phone for any reason whatsoever on a bicycle. That's pretty much it. All right, next step. I'm going to just keep hopscotching down to the next one just to get closer to, I got to cross the 405, I think it is. Yeah, I think that'll be my next stop. I think I'm just going to do some short rides until I can hop my way all the way to Santa Monica. I'll keep checking in on each of these hops just to give you a sense of what's going on. The interesting part is there's been good bike lanes so far, and so I'm hoping for more of those. From downtown Santa Monica, I did that in a couple of hops, and some interesting things of note. The Bad News Bears Park, I don't know if that was part of the movie, but if you're of a certain age like I am, you remember that film. Let's see, crossed Wilshire, Santa Monica, Sepulveda, major thoroughfares. The routing that Google Maps took me on went through a lot of alleys, which I thought was interesting and helpful. I'm glad that I am not recording while riding. I think that the one thing that I'm noticing in this more densely apportioned area of LA is that you definitely need to be head on a swivel a lot more around here. Just drivers not paying as much attention. It definitely feels like, even though there's bike infrastructure, it doesn't feel like people are as used to seeing cyclists, I think, as much. There were some nice greenways that I was on. I believe Arizona was one of them. So that was pretty cool. The bikes are fine. I haven't tried an e-bike yet, but I may soon. But I have found that the shifting to be wonky, as many of these bike shares are wont to be. And for the most part, though, it got me where I needed to go. Now I'm noticing from here into the Santa Monica area to get south of here along through the beach towns and into Venice and beyond, it looks like the stations are spaced out a lot more. So I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful about what my situation is. Interestingly, here at the downtown Santa Monica station, there was only one carol that was open, which was all I needed, of course. If you come to a full station and you can't dock, it's all messed up. But I'm happy about how it's gone so far, but I'm also looking forward to taking a little bit of a break. I stopped at the Trader Joe's and got a protein smoothie kind of a thing, which was totally fine, and I'm carrying a fair amount of water with me, so I think I'm gonna be okay. Feeling a little, I don't know, little tired, more tired than I would like to be at this point, but it's also been, I had a long flight yesterday and a long day just sitting. It feels good to move, I'll have to say that. Also, I have not been on a bike in way too long, just had a million things going on since the Florida ride, and as a result, I have not really gotten on a bike at all, so it feels good to be back on one. All right, I think I'm gonna try to get out of Santa Monica proper here and work my way down. I'll hop to the next station that's got some bikes, and then I think eventually I'd like to get to a place where I'm in some of the beach towns and maybe can sit and relax, maybe read a little bit. I've got many hours until my flight. Geez, what time is it? I don't even know what time it is. I think it's 3:30. Yeah, my flight's not until close to 10 o'clock p.m., so there's no rush to get to the airport. So as soon as I find some cool places to hang out, I think I will be doing that. And I have to figure that a lot of these stations will be by cool places to hang out. Just not right at this moment. There's transit. It's a very transit-served area, but not so much a cool shit area. Okay, more to come. Made it to the next station very quickly, and passed a lot of interesting stuff. I may go back. I may take advantage of this break. Interestingly, I passed by a Yoga Works, which may not mean a lot to you, but that was the company that purchased the yoga studio that I used to work for, and bought out Kimberly, and then promptly, sadly, the whole thing went under because COVID happened right after that. A lot of fortunate things happened in Kimberly's life and the timing of that, and that, of course, led me to no longer be a yoga studio lawyer. And then, yeah, things changed. Things changed a lot after all that. So it was interesting to pass by that. I was going a little too quickly to bother taking a picture of it, but there was a big for lease sign on it. I believe, if memory serves, that it went bankrupt, but it was still operating out of that one facility. Now, who knows? But that's interesting. Yeah, unfortunately, I passed all the cool stuff and would have to walk quite a bit back. But I do feel like I want to take a little bit of a break. Unfortunately, that protein shake that I had was really rather filling, and I don't think I really care to have anything to eat, which is really my only options around here. Yeah, I'll have to figure something out. I see a Jersey Mike's Subs. I suppose I could just walk over that direction. Again, not hungry, but could use a coffee place. Coffee place would be halfway decent. All right, well, that's enough of my searching for things, but my next stop is going to be continuing south, and then I'll be in closer to Venice at that point, and then things get a little more interesting. All right, there is a Jersey Mike's here. Maybe I get a soda or something. From Venice. It is always a pleasure to walk through this incredibly weird, incredibly interesting part of the world. And walking is the name of the game. By the way, the hopping you're hearing is, what is that, paddle ball? What do they call it? It's not paddle ball. It's something. They're calling it paddle tennis. I feel like it goes by another name. This is how out of touch I am with the whole movement. But anyways, yeah, that's what's happening right here on these smaller courts. I think they're specifically meant for it. But yeah, just passed by the basketball courts and Muscle Beach and all of the classics. Yeah, I think I might even sit down for a second here because I've got time. I also ran into something that sort of scuttles my plan. It doesn't scuttle it, it just changes it. There is no really appropriately close station for Metrobike. near the airport. For whatever reason, I looked at a map and thought there was, but really the closest one is about a 1.5 mile walk, which I suppose I could do. I think I just walked probably 3/4 of a mile just now, just soaking in all the sights and everything. But I don't know if I want to do that. So I'm toying with the idea of going down to Marina del Rey, which is basically the next sort of named place south of here. Things get really bougie really quick there, and I think I'm probably not smelling my finest just because I've been biking and walking and doing all that. So I don't know how if I can sneak into said bougie places, but we'll see. Maybe if there's something that's outdoors I could. But I've got plenty of time to play with. Once I'm there, that is the last spot really for where there would be a Metrobike anyways. So a couple of options. Number one, of course, is to just walk, which is what I'm doing all the way down to Marina del Rey anyways at this rate. So I would be doing a lot of walking as a part of my biking day, which I suppose is fine, and walk to the airport, which there's a part of me that's like into that. The other is, of course, I could take transit, and there's buses and things along those lines. I believe that there's the number 3 bus takes you essentially all the way right to LAX. Funny trivia from earlier this morning. I was originally supposed to take the number 6 bus from near my hotel, which is right by LAX, and go all the way to the UCLA campus. And well, I ducked around the corner while I was waiting for my bus, and it literally, the driver didn't see that there was anybody at that stop and just rolled right past. And it was going to be another 15 minutes of waiting, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to, work's paying for this, so I'll take a lift. So I feel like I need to pay it forward to do the transit situation, but we'll just have to see. It's such a beautiful day out. It is, it's probably close to 80 degrees right now. And so it's worth a potential walk, or just be a lot of walking for the day. And by the time I get to the airport, I really could stand a nice change of clothes and a shower, and I have a limited ability for either. Certainly not a shower. I could change clothes potentially. I do have a change, and maybe that would make some sense when I get to the airport. So we'll see. But yeah, this has been a more physically intensive afternoon than I originally thought, but that's okay because it's been really good to just move. Like I said, it's been too long before I did anything truly physical, and if all goes well, the next time you're going to hear a show from me, it's going to be the Circumnav, which I of course already spoke about on the live show prior to the spring break. We will see what ends up happening with that. I'm looking forward to that. Different types of adventures this year already. There's this one, and Circumnav, of course, is going to be very different. We'll do the preview show for that later. Anyways, I am going to continue to go along here. Paddleball. Now I'm reminded of this game. It is called Paddleball, and it is taking things over. There are tennis courts near where I live at the cabin, and paddleball has absolutely taken over. And I understand tennis people are semi-miffed by said paddleball thing. I don't know, maybe it's just what I hear. But the idea of, you can't be on my tennis court for your paddleball. I don't know, it certainly seems to have taken over here. Everybody's doing paddleball. Never touched it, never considered it. Maybe I should, I don't know. I feel like it's a cult. I feel like I belong to enough cults. I'm in the cult of Brompton. I think that's plenty. All right. Enough of that. I'm going to keep walking down Venice, decide my next steps, which may be just a lot more steps. That just about does it for the cycling adventure part. I know I said I was about to walk a lot, but then I looked at the map and it was substantially further than a walk would make sense to do. So I decided to go to the absolute furthest point I could, hoping that it would be something useful, and it got me here. Oh, interesting, a Star Wars drone box, but just the box. Yeah, so where did it put me? In Playa Vista, but with precious little stuff around. I'm intrigued how these stations for Metrobike are placed without a lot of stuff around. I wonder if it was just a NIMBY zoning thing or whatever, but they're not super useful. There were a couple, of course, in Venice that were around things, but this is not really near anything useful. I'm going to have to give Metrobike a qualified because it was fine. It certainly got me pretty far, about as far as you could get without getting all the way to the airport, which was my original hope. I knew I would have to walk some, but
This is crazy, but yeah, so now I'm searching for something. I will say that there's a bus line here, so it's not around things. You can connect bus to bike, which I suppose is helpful, but I think for the docking bikes, I'm just used to DC, and DC is really, really good, like amazingly good. And so comparing anything to that is a lot. I am noticing now some restaurants here. I think we're near a campus of some type. I don't know which college this is, but it is a college, which means there might be stuff. And I just thought I saw something around the corner here that looks fish taco-ish, which would be amazing. A place called Baja Catch and Grill. That seems very likely to give me something good. Yes, it says campus at Playa Vista. I do know there is a college around here, but that campus is probably what the campus road means. But yeah, here, this is a pretty major road. Funny feeling that I would be able to get things that I need. The Baja Catch and Grill looks... Oh, I see fish tacos. I think we have winners. All right, more to come after a fabulous fish taco. And just like that, I am back at the hotel that started my day. The Hyatt Regency, which is the closest hotel to LAX, and you can easily walk to it. It's literally across the street from where one picks up Ubers and Lyfts, the much maligned LA exit, which is fine. But this is the part of the adventure that wraps things up. I have to say, I'm exhausted. It was a lot of sun-soaked riding, as I like to say. And I think I'm going to sleep well on the red eye, that is for darn sure. I'm going to be leaving in a couple of hours. Yeah, a couple of hours, I would say. And crossing, I think this is Sepulveda, which is actually, I see the sign for California 1 in other parts of the state, the PCH, but not here. It's not part of the Pacific route where we are right now. That is over by the ocean towns. You actually go to the foot of LAX when you're on the Pacific Coast route. But yeah, now I've crossed Sepulveda and I am on LAX property officially. So yeah, this was a fun day, a fun little adventure. It was interesting to experience LA in a different way. I have to say, the riding was not as enjoyable as I've had it in the past, where it's been big, wide open boulevards. It was a lot of kind of dinking and ducking, and there were definitely a few roads that Google Maps took me on that were marginally okay for cycling. I was fine with it just because I am a psychopath, I think, when it comes to this kind of stuff. The vibes were good, though. Like I said, I'm gonna absolutely sleep like a champ on the flight tonight. I've got my ridiculous neck pillow, which is gonna be perfect for getting some Z's, the limited amount of Z's that I'm gonna get tonight. And I'll wake up at IAD tomorrow in crack of dawn, pre-dawn even. Yeah, this wasn't a great flight for getting sleep, but it was a good flight for good trip for adventure, and I always appreciate that. That'll pretty much wrap up this particular little adventure. I think it was fun. It was unusual. I think I got what I wanted out of it. I think that I would have preferred if I could have biked all the way here. And that was on me for bad planning, not realizing how far away that final stop was. It was a good 4 miles, which honestly would have been just too much to walk. I certainly would have biked it if I had a bike available, but yeah, I was so used to having my Brompton in these circumstances where, of course, I could just ride all the way here and then pack it up and go. So there's your advantage if you're wanting to do some kind of a similar thing in LA. With your own bike, it works out much better. Mixing transit with it does work pretty good, but like I said before in the earlier segment, the rideshare bikes here, the stations aren't in always the best place for enjoying things. You dock your bike and then you're not just right there in front of cool stuff. But it could have just been the draw that I ended up having, which was totally fine. This was more about transporting myself from UCLA to here. And yeah, it ended up working out really, really well. And a nice alternative way to do stuff. That's what I always really enjoy about these types of trips and these types of adventures is it's walking the path a little bit differently, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I'm very glad that I was able to bring you all along for the ride yet again. More adventures to come as we turn the page following the spring break into the summer and the adventure of going around Lake Ontario. Statistics. Miles traveled 15. Metrobike docked 5. Elevation change about 400 feet. Cost of the entire ride $5 US. Flats 0.
Thank you for joining. You can find Pedal Shift at pedalshift.net for more great bicycle touring content. You can hear the Pedal Shift project through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Opening music courtesy of Jason Kent off his self-titled album. The track is called America. Check out his band Sunfield's latest release, Mono Mono, wherever cool music is available.